Ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
On this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we're taking a look at some of our favorite and easy-to-make recipes.
And now, a special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. It's one of the reasons we love this industry, the end product. A tender, juicy, and flavorful steak is a great way to end a hard day's work. This week, we're sharing some of our favorite beef recipes that are sure to please friends and family alike. Let's take a look. We're going to show you a spin on a popular Italian-style dish that's both high on flavor and also quick to prepare. Chef Kristen Snow from the Culinary Innovations Center joins us in the studio today to teach us how to make a no-noodle beef lasagna dip. Is that right, Kristen?
That is right. And Kevin, thank you so much for having me today.
Welcome to the show. Well, you don't see beef that often in appetizer dishes. And so I was excited to see you're bringing a recipe to show us how we can use beef in a tasty and simple appetizer.
Yeah, this is really great because it's a really fast and easy way to incorporate beef into those quick parties, Super Bowl parties, entertaining that you might have. This is a really easy way to throw it all together and have beef again on the menu. So,
well, you're starting with a pie pan, so help me out there.
I am. To save us a little bit of time, I actually went ahead and we've started off with some cream cheese.
Oh, yeah.
And I went ahead and pulled that out earlier and softened that up, and I layered it just nice and smooth in the bottom of a baking dish.
Okay.
You could use whatever you have at home.
Sure.
Would be an easy one to do. So,
very good.
So again, we just start with that, and I've got some pot roast.
Oh.
Already made pot roast that I picked up at the grocery store.
You picked it up already made like that?
I did, except I went ahead and shredded it.
Wow.
So it's just really fast and easy way to bring it in. So
outstanding.
If you have leftover pot roast at home, you could definitely utilize that for this recipe as too.
Okay.
And so let's get started.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What do we do?
So I've got some sliced green onions.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go ahead and layer some of these just along this next here.
I love onions.
Add a little extra color
Absolutely.
And some flavor.
Yep.
I'm going to save a little bit though.
Okay.
And that's so at the end, if you prefer to top with a little green onion, you can definitely do that.
Do that as well.
Okay. And then I have my favorite pasta sauce, jarred
yes.
pasta sauce, whatever you prefer.
Very good.
Go ahead and add
little
that.
Prego, whatever you like.
That's right.
Good.
So we go ahead and add that in there.
You're going to just mix that together then, huh?
I am, yeah. And then one last little flavor bite is a little minced garlic. So we're going to add that in there as well.
What's an Italian dish without a little garlic?
That's, yeah. Add that little flavor. So we're just going to give this a nice stir.
Yeah.
So everything is nicely coated.
Yeah.
That all your beef is covered with your Italian sauce.
Okay. Smells good.
And then we're going to go ahead and just layer that right in there.
Okay, right on top of that.
Just put it right on top. Okay.
Outstanding.
And then we're just going to give it a nice smooth over so we've got an even layer.
Good.
Okay.
Gosh, this is even something I could do, it looks like.
I bet you could. Now, from here, we're just going to top it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese.
Okay.
So I've got some shredded. If you have grated at home, you can use whatever you like.
Okay.
So we'll top with a little bit of that right
Sure.
on. We're going to pop it in an oven at 400 degrees, about 15 to 20 minutes until the sides get nice and kind of bubbly and the cheese gets a little gooey.
That sounds good.
We'll pull it out, and then we can serve it with your favorite bread or
yeah, well, and this is the finished product, so you have some, you call these crostinis, is that right?
I do, yeah. And what I did is I just grabbed a baguette from the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
I cut it on a diagonal, and then I just baked it in the oven just to get it nice and crispy.
Yep.
But I've also put a couple other options on there, and you could use whatever your favorite side is.
Sure.
For a little color and also a little change, we did some cucumbers.
Okay.
And for some fun, we put some breadsticks on there.
That's great.
So you can just dip right out, however you like it. So.
Well, thanks for the creativity you bring to serving beef dishes for appetizers. It looks delicious.
Thank you, and I hope you like it.
Absolutely. For this great beef recipe and many others, just head to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Grilling burgers is a simple and delicious way to prepare beef for the whole family, while also enjoying some great time outside. With just a handful of extra ingredients, you can make some great burgers in no time flat. Chef Laura Hagen from the Culinary Innovations Center is with us today to teach us how to make some classic ranch burgers. Laura, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I have to admit, Laura, when it comes to burgers at our house, a lot of times it's just some hamburger and some pepper and throw them on the grill. You are adding a few extra ingredients, I understand.
And there's nothing wrong with just a little bit of salt and pepper on a burger, as far as I'm concerned, because you can always add a lot of different elements to your burger to zip it up. What I like to do is put all of the rubs and all of the seasonings into the burger before I even form the patty.
Okay.
So for this instant, ranch rub is really, really easy. It's onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, really simple ingredients that you put into the burger, form it, and then you cook it. So it cooks inside the burger. So it's a really nice way of incorporating that flavor into the beef.
It's not really a rub. I mean, you're mixing it in with the ground beef before you make those patties.
Right, exactly. Yep, rub is not, a lot of people will use rubs and put that on the outside of the burger. It's kind of like what you're doing with the salt and pepper, just on top. So this is going to infuse flavor all the way throughout.
Very good.
So if I'm at a tailgate party, one of the things I love to do is bring burgers, because I think it's really, really easy to get them all prepped in advance.
You bet.
And then form the patties, have them all layered in a nice cooler, keep them nice and cold, and then kind of cook them to order.
I got you.
You know, Coleman stove or whatever you've got that you want to work with, you can do at a tailgate. Here we're obviously doing it right onto a grill pan, so simple way to do it inside the house. If it's raining, you could put it on your outside grill. If you
I
want to
wish
do
it
something
was
really
raining,
quickly.
Laura, this summer.
Yeah, it's been really dry this year, hasn't it? So we're going to take this luscious burger, and we're going to put it onto a beautiful whole wheat bun.
Okay.
What I like to do first is I like to use the bottom as kind of my base, and I like to put something on there that's going to block any type of liquid from getting to the bun.
Okay.
So I'm going to take this romaine lettuce, lay that across. Okay. This will prevent the burger from the juices going in there, and you want the juices to stay within the burger. So I will take the burger itself.
Put it on our lettuce.
Beautiful here.
That does look good.
And then layer with a little bit of tomato. I think for this purpose we'll just use 2, or else we're going to end up with it all falling. And then this is simply low-fat ranch dressing.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is.
I love ranch.
So it complements the flavors that we've put inside the ground beef. And there we have a ranch burger.
That looks great. And you brought a couple of other burgers that you kind of dressed up in a little different way.
Yes, the ranch seasoning within this burger is pretty neutral. So it doesn't lean one way or the other, so we can do just about anything we want with toppings and sauces. So we have here a Southwest burger with green chilies, pepper jack cheese, and a little bit of guacamole. And then we have a teriyaki burger where we've grilled pineapple, so another use for your grills. Put that fruit on there and grill it up and get it nice and caramelized with a little bit of teriyaki sauce. And finally, there's our classic ranch burger. I like to put a little bit of healthy and a little bit of decadent on my plate, so I've got the broccoli and carrots. Probably add a little bit of my ranch dressing so I can do it as a dip, and then we've got some beautiful kettle chips. And so kind of appealing to anybody.
Well, you're making my mouth water already. Thank you so much for coming and giving us a new twist on an old favorite.
Thank you so much.
For complete recipe details and to see more great beef recipes, just go to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. It's no secret that eating lean beef as part of a balanced diet has many nutritional benefits. And now there's some research that supports the value of including beef in a healthy diet, especially as people get older. A Beef Checkoff funded research project conducted by Dr. Stuart Phillips of McMaster University in Ontario, Canada, focuses on nutrient-rich proteins and offsetting age-related muscle loss. The project included comparing 4 ounces of beef with 4 ounces of soy protein, and Phillips says the research findings may challenge people's current thinking about beef.
Well, I think people need to appreciate that as we age, our muscle mass begins to decline. And so one of the things that we need to take into consideration is what can we do to minimize that decline in muscle mass loss as we get a bit older. And for most people, what it comes down to is how much protein they eat and how much activity they do. When we compare the amount of protein that's recommended, for example, through MyPlate, or in Canada it's the Canada's Food Guide, the serve is about 3 ounces. we've actually shown that the serve which stimulates muscle protein synthesis, so the growth of muscle, to the greatest extent is about 6 ounces. So it's double what's recommended. So I think that that's an important consideration. The other, I think, really important piece of research that we reported was when we did a head-to-head comparison of 4 ounces of beef with 4 ounces of soy protein, is that the beef protein was more effective at stimulating, again, new muscle growth. And so while we generally consider those two protein sources to be equivalent, they're actually not in their efficiency to be able to promote muscle health.
To learn more about lean beef and its nutritional benefits, just visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. NCBA and the Beef Checkoff continue to fund research that drives innovation and develops new products, and this includes coming up with great new beef recipes. One man who has been front and center for all this work is Executive Chef Dave Zeno. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter has more on Chef Dave and his passion for cooking up new ways to serve beef.
Before a restaurant can add a new beef dish to the menu, someone has to create the recipe and test it. Very often that person is Dave Zeno. Dave serves as the executive chef for NCBA.
My role is basically spokesperson, culinary spokesperson on behalf of the Checkoff and the entire beef industry. And it's a job I really love. I get to travel the country working not only with other chefs but culinary students, consumer food companies, restaurant chains, chef associations, as well as culinary educators.
In this role, Chef Dave wears many hats, ranging from industry expert to public speaker, writer, and television personality. He graduated from Illinois State with degrees in political science and sociology, but quickly realized his true passion was in the kitchen.
One of my friends said, you love to cook so much, why don't you go to culinary school? And I was like, a light bulb went off in my head. It was like, yeah, not a bad idea. So I did that. And then started off in traditional restaurant work, hotels, worked a while in retail meat and seafood. And then I've got experience in recipe editorial work, writing recipes, developing recipes. I worked for a cookbook publishing company that did those little digest-sized magazines you see at the checkout. And then my boss left there and said, would you ever be interested in working for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association? So 10 years later, here we sit.
Chef Dave is part of the Beef Checkoff-funded Culinary Innovations team that develops concepts and recipes for both the retail and food service industries. He also works closely with the Checkoff-funded Beef Innovations Group to evaluate and develop new beef cuts.
We continually, do new research into these new cuts to help, maybe get a steak out there at a better price point, a new cut that will better utilize a subprimal. So that work is ongoing. I started 10 years ago, and that's when the flat iron steak was first introduced. And I probably cooked more flat iron steaks than any person on this earth, but it was really, really a great experience to be, on the front end of that, to be able to, roll that out to the industry.
Another of Chef Dave's favorite accomplishments is his work revising the award-winning publication Creating Crave, A Professional's Guide to Flavor. It's a Beef Checkoff-funded publication that helps food professionals understand the science and chemistry of flavor. It also explains the concept of umami, which is considered the fifth taste.
I think we put umami on the map. That's put us a leader not only in the food service community, but also, with consumer food companies, showing them that beef can be part of, their recipe development, and you can do it in a delicious and easy way once you understand umami.
As Chef Dave travels the country, he gets a chance to share the story of the farmers and ranchers who are the foundation of the American beef industry.
They're truly the stewards of our land, and cattle is raised in all 50 states. I like to call it the most local of products out there. And farms and ranches have been in families for generations. And to me, that really speaks of sustainability. I mean, we are, our farmers and ranchers really are the leaders of the agriculture industry, and meeting them and working with them you can really see the pride that goes into all the work they do, no matter what segment of the industry they're in. And it's always rewarding for me to be able to speak to people and educate them on the great work that our farmers and ranchers are doing.
As you can imagine, after personally testing thousands of recipes, Chef Dave has trouble picking his favorite way to eat beef.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's like asking a parent, what's their favorite child. But you asked me the question, so I'll give you the answer. I'm a big ribeye guy. I'll say that. I think one of the best recipes in the world is a grilled steak with a little salt and pepper on it. It's an exciting time to be in the industry. I think there's a lot of good news about beef out there, and it's my job to help convey that.
Reporting from Chicago, Illinois, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
To learn more about Chef Dave or to find some great beef recipes, just visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tough trailers built for tough country. Big Ben Trailers manufactures a different kind of trailer, one that's built to put up with the rough conditions found on the ranch. Rugged build using heavy-gauge powder-coated steel and a 2x4 rectangle tube frame. There's a 1-inch gap between the side and floor, so there's no place for water or manure to accumulate and rust. Big Ben trailers are loaded with standard features: a lever-action hitch, a 3-foot escape gate, and a middle sorting gate, rhino lining along the front edges, and a receiver hitch to tow another trailer, chute, or other equipment. Tough and practical. That's Big Ben Trailers, designed and built by a working cattleman. You can rely on and trust Big Ben Trailers for their durability and convenient features. Reasonably priced for any rancher to afford. For a list of dealers and other design features, visit BigBenTrailers.com. Big Ben Trailers, built cattlemen tough.
To stay up to date on beef industry news and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, check out beefusa.org. You'll find news on both the Federation of State Beef Councils and the work of NCBA on Capitol Hill. Plus, link to NCBA programs like the blog, Beltway Beef, updates on the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, and the latest from NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Connect today at beefusa.org.
Get your boots on the bay for the 2013 Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show. Join me, J.D. Alexander, for Boots on the Bay as we attend important industry meetings and kick back for some fun with our fellow cattlemen and women at the Cattlemen's Beach Party featuring the Beach Boys. You won't want to miss the Hot Havana Nights after party with the Bellamy Brothers. For more information, visit beefusa.org. So pack up your boots. I'll see you in Tampa Bay.
We each have thousands of taste buds, and this beef dish uses every last one of them. Chef Laura Hagen from the Culinary Innovations Center is with us today. And Laura, you're going to tell us how to make a glazed tri-tip roast with creamy gorgonzola sauce, I understand. Well, first of all, tell us, Laura, about the tri-tip itself.
Well, the tri-tip is from the sirloin. It's a new cut to a lot of people around the country. Started out west, so the westernmost states and southwesternmost states tend to have it in stores and make it available to people.
A lot of Californians love fixing a tri-tip.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be done in many different ways. For this recipe, we're roasting it.
Okay.
So we're using just our regular home oven, and we're going to marinate it first.
Okay.
We use a marinade that has a lot of what we call umami qualities. Umami is something that enhances beef. Beef already has natural umami, and umami is the fifth taste. In Japanese, it means deliciousness. So it's adding a really, really lovely flavor to this roast.
Okay.
We use a balsamic vinegar, a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of light brown sugar, and some garlic.
And how long will you marinate that?
Marinating, because this is a flavor marinade, it's not a tenderizing marinade. That sirloin tri-tip does not need to be tenderized.
Okay.
Probably anywhere from 30 minutes to about 2 hours is as far as you want to go with that. We save half of the marinade. side so that we can create the glaze, as it says in the recipe title. About partway through cooking, this roast will only take about 40 minutes.
Wow.
So when I'm doing a dinner party or something like that at home, this is a great one. You can pop it in and, you know, have a little bit of appetizers and that type of thing, and then take it out, and then you're good to go. It's really, really quick.
It's not a pot roast that you're going to cook all day long.
Exactly. This one we've taken out, and we're letting it rest.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned with the glaze, well, about partway through cooking, we're going to put the glaze on so that in the final stages of cooking, it's going to get a nice glaze over the top. You can see it's got a really nice, nice glaze. We've also added a little bit of red onion.
Looks good.
And roasted those as well. So that's kind of nice to have that flavor as well. The topper to it is yet another umami element to this dish.
Okay.
So I mentioned umami means deliciousness. So we're going to add more flavor by creating this creamy gorgonzola sauce. We're doing it cold.
Oh.
So it's not going to be a warm sauce. We don't have to put it on the stovetop. This is something I could make in advance, put in the fridge, finish up the roast, and then bring it out about room temp to make sure that it's not too stiff. Cream cheese. I like to use a little bit of cream cheese in here. That's super easy. Soften it so it's a little easier to stir. And then we're going to use Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is really, really creamy.
Is that what's different about it?
Yeah, it doesn't have regular yogurt you might find at the store sometimes has too much of a bite to it. This one tends to be a little bit more mellow, and it's got a really nice creamy quality.
All right. And you have blue cheese there, or what's that?
This is gorgonzola cheese.
That's of course.
Type of blue cheese. If you have blue cheese in the fridge already, crumble it up, use that. If you're at the store and they don't have gorgonzola, really look for some sort of pungent cheese. I would go with blue cheese, but certainly you could use something that just has a little pungency to it. You want it to stand out.
Very good.
So we're going to drop that in there. A little bit of minced onion. And a little bit of just black pepper, a little bit. You could, if you don't want your sauce to have that that pepper in it, you could certainly use a little white pepper. And that won't change color.
Very good.
So we've got our mix going here.
Just mix it up, huh?
Yeah. And it really adds a lovely flavor to it. And because it's cold, when you put it onto the warm roast pieces, it's just going to start melting.
Drizzle a little bit.
So it'll have a really, really lovely texture.
Very good.
And we have created a plate over here.
Yeah, so this is the finished product.
Yes, it is.
And as you said, you would likely not serve that on the side. You would maybe drizzle
I might
that
drizzle
over.
it. I may actually give everybody who is sitting at my dinner party maybe a little tiny ramekin of it on the side. And then we did some beautiful broccoli and the red onion that came off the roasting pan.
Great looking dish. Laura, thank you so much for coming today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For complete recipe details and to check out more great beef recipes, head to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Oftentimes, there isn't a whole lot of time between when you get home and when dinner needs to be put on the table. Fortunately, there are plenty of great tasting beef recipes that really don't take that much time to prepare. And joining us in the studio to show us one of those easy weeknight meals is Chef Shanoa French from the Culinary Innovations team. Shanoa, thanks for coming to the show. And what are we cooking today?
Thanks for having me back. Today we're going to do sauteed steaks with a wild mushroom side. So it's something really simple. You can, it's a 10 to 15 minute recipe at home. So as long as you have your ingredients, you're good to go. We're going to start, we've got our pan warm, so I'm going to get some stuff in here before we get too warm. This is a cast iron skillet, and it's one of my favorite in-the-house cooking method or cooking vessels. It holds its heat well. It's a very even cooking temperature. So add a little bit of olive oil in there, and then we're going to add a little bit of garlic. It calls for 2 cloves, and one will start in the skillet, and then one will go for a rub.
Never too much garlic.
Never. Well, there's a point of no return on that.
Suppose that's
yeah, so you want to get your pan to a nice temperature, get your garlic in there, get that working, and then we're going to add 3 cups of mushrooms. Now, you can use whichever mushrooms you prefer. These were sliced whole button mushrooms and baby bellas, because that's what we had. If you have oyster mushrooms or shiitake mushrooms, whatever you have, go ahead and use those. Most important things when you're cooking mushrooms is that you clean them real good, but don't clean them too far ahead. They are a vegetable that will absorb a lot of water.
Oh, really?
And so it's best to clean them right before you use them.
I did not
Cut
know
off
that.
the bottom so you don't eat the stems. But give them a nice stir. You want to have your pan warm enough that you get a nice brown on them. Mushrooms will leach a lot of water, and so if you don't have your pan up high enough, then you'll end up kind of steaming them, and they'll get soggy. So
And you have that's olive oil, you said.
yeah, that was a little bit of olive oil to
see.
start in the pan.
Gotcha.
You can add a little bit of butter if you want to. It's kind of really up to you.
How long should I expect that to take? then?
You know, it kind of depends on your heat, but these are a 5 to 6 minute type process. If you like your mushrooms more well done, you cook them a little bit longer.
Sure.
But you definitely want a brown, nice brown color on them.
Very good.
So while these are working, we're going to move over and work on our steak here, the most important part.
Yeah.
This would be a little bit of extra garlic, and I've started with our rub, which
Okay.
is thyme.
Yep.
And remember, you can use fresh thyme or you can use a dried thyme.
Sure.
You need to adjust your seasoning. If you're using dry, you need a little bit more.
Okay.
And remember, when you're pulling thyme, you pull it backwards
Right.
off the stem.
You've told us that
So we
before.
show you that. And then there's just a little bit of chopped garlic in here. Real simple.
And what kind of steaks are we working with there?
Yeah, so this might be a more of an unusual cut for some. In the retail, it's kind of slowly moving into the retail case.
Okay.
This is your sirloin cap.
Oh.
Or in the food service, it's called a culotte steak. And like I said, some people are roasting the cap whole,
Okay.
or they've cut them into steaks now.
Steaks.
Yeah, these are
Outstanding.
great steak. They have a
Yeah.
nice cap on them, which gives you some good flavoring, and then you can
Absolutely.
cut that off the table.
That's great looking.
If you can't find culotte steaks at the retail case,
Sirloin.
exactly. So it all comes from the same family.
Outstanding.
So I'm going to put these on real quick. You want to make sure that you get a nice rub.
You bet.
Both sides. You're going to season your steaks real good. Kind of press it all in there.
Yep.
Flip them over. Do the same thing. Obviously, you're using fresh herbs.
Sure.
So you don't want too many, or they'll kind of sear in the pan if you don't have a right
Okay.
temperature. And they're better usually in a skillet than they are outside. We're also going to throw on just a touch of salt and
Salt,
pepper.
pepper, sure.
And I'm actually going to add a touch of salt and pepper
Oh,
to
yeah.
my mushrooms.
Very good.
So I like my mushrooms not overly cooked.
Okay.
Kind of in that in-between stage. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull these mushrooms out of this pan. And we're going to cook the steaks right here in the
right in the
skillet.
pan.
So
Perfect, yeah.
it's a one skillet meal. Like I said, this burner's on low.
Yeah.
And so I got it hot, and it'll hold that heat for you and give
good.
you a nice sear on there.
Both fast and few dishes. Those
Yes.
are my kind of meals.
Yeah. So we're going to get rid of these
It
mushrooms.
smells great. Yeah, I think I mean, so many people think that you have to prepare and plan for a beef dish, but like you're showing us, I mean, as long as you're going to grill something or put something in a skillet like this can be super fast.
Yeah. It's that nice if you do a little bit of planning, even if it's on the drive home.
Sure.
Like what steaks, or pop into the grocery store and get a
Yeah.
couple of key ingredients. You're good to go.
You're ready to
All
roll.
right, so we'll let those set. And same kind of thing you do at home.
Smells
Just let
great.
them season in. I'm going to add just a touch more of olive oil. The other trick with cast iron is you never use soap in these pans. That's kind of
really?
they talk about seasoning your pan, and then it keeps building. So want to make sure you have a little bit of olive oil in there so they don't stick.
Gotcha.
And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and take these and just put it in the pan.
I'll be honest, most of my steaks go on the grill. So what are some, if you're going to do them in a skillet like this on the stove, what are some tips?
Again, it's similar, very similar to grilling. We call this pan broiling,
Yeah.
and we have all the guidelines on Beef Cooked for Dinner if that's what you're looking for. But you want to start with a nice medium heat pan.
Yep.
You want enough heat that it's going to give a sear to the outside and not turn gray. So if you have your heat too low, you're going to kind of steam and get not the Maillard reaction that we're looking for. But if you're too high, same with on the grill, you're going to burn the outside and be raw on the inside. So I let this sit. Like I said, these are about an 8 to 11 minute steak.
Okay.
So you'd let them work half the time
Yep.
and flip them once.
Flip 'em over.
And then, like I said, they'll go directly. And as you can see, I don't know if we're quite there yet, but it's working on getting that nice
Sure,
sear
looks
on
great.
there. And that's what you want, is that good sear on the pan. And cast irons are great for that.
That's great. And
So,
when we're done,
yeah,
this is
there's
the finished product.
a simple thing. We just threw an ear of corn on that, but you can pick whatever your favorite vegetable is to have a great quick night meal.
Looks absolutely delicious. Thank you so much for bringing us another great recipe. And if you'd like to have more details on this recipe or any others, just go to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org.
I am an NCBA member.
I am an NCBA member.
I'm an NCBA member because our nation's capital is a long way from home and my cattle operation. I pay my dues to keep a staff here in D.C. working on behalf of the industry and working on my behalf every day on all the issues.
The NCBA doesn't pick and choose what issues it works on. It works on every issue, every day, on behalf of all the cattlemen across the country.
NCBA membership is important because there are policymakers and regulatory agencies making decisions that affect your operation every day.
Join me and thousands of other cattlemen across the country.
We are better together than we are alone.
Your support is needed.
We are NCBA membership. Join us today.
Join NCBA today and receive a new member gift while supplies last. Head to beefusa.org and enter the promo code C2C or call 866-USA-BEEF and mention C2C.
There's something wrong. His head is down. He's clearly stressed. He's worried sick about BRD. That's why there's prescription Zactran for BRD treatment and control in high-risk cattle. Get a rapid response plus 10-day treatment and control in a single dose so you can stop worrying and get back to business. For use in cattle only, do not treat cattle within 35 days of slaughter. Because a discard time in milk has not been established, do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older or in calves to be processed for veal. The effects of Zactran on bovine reproductive performance, pregnancy, and lactation have not been determined. Don't worry yourself sick. Talk to your veterinarian about a real alternative for BRD treatment and control. Because it's critical, it's Zactran from Mariel, a leading animal health company.
Cold weather can only mean one thing, comfort food. And nothing fights off the chill better than a big pot of hot chili. Chef Shanoa French from the Culinary Innovations Center joins us today to tell us how to make a brand new recipe for beef chili. Is that right?
Yeah, this is a chili day beef chili, and so the only thing that's a little bit different is we're using stew meat, which I think a lot of people think of chili as ground beef.
Sure.
So this is a real simple, easy recipe. Uses one of those slow cooker. If you don't have one, you can always do this on the stove.
Okay.
The recipe can be converted if you need to. Good. We're going to start here with about 2.5 pounds of chuck stew meat.
Sure.
If you don't have chuck stew meat, you can also use round. And if you have a whole pot roast, you can cut your own meat into cubes. So whichever you would prefer, about 2.5 pounds. And we're going to start and dump that right here in the bottom of our crock pot.
Perfect.
So that goes in. I like to do a layer with my meat on the bottom. Make sure you have enough moisture
on top
as you go in there too. So the next thing we're going to add is an onion.
Sure.
This is just one medium onion, diced finer or larger depending on how you like it in your chili.
Okay.
And you can use white or yellow, whatever you have.
All right.
Goes right on top.
On top of that.
What else? We're going to do, we'll go next with the beans. So this is 2 cans of black beans.
Okay.
Make sure you drain and rinse them.
Really?
It's important to do that. If you don't like black beans, you can switch them to kidney or garbanzo or whatever else you prefer.
Okay.
2 cans of that.
Black beans. So what do you have over there? You have some salsa, or what is that?
This is actually diced tomatoes in sauce.
Oh.
And this is going to be your liquid. We're doing a braise or a slow moist heat cooking process, so you need some moisture and some liquid to help that out.
I see.
This is just a regular 6 or 15 ounce can. Gotcha. The important thing is that you don't drain these because you need, like I said, all that liquid to help the braising process. So this whole can goes in right on top.
Good.
I'm going to give this a quick stir before we add all of our seasoning.
It's perfect. Throw this on first thing in the morning and be ready in the evening or even at lunch when you
put a lid on and walk away. So I'm going to stir this to get it kind of incorporated.
Okay.
Then we're going to add, it's a teaspoon of cumin and a little bit, 2 teaspoons of chili powder.
Sure.
So that'll give you some of that flavor.
Yeah.
Chili powder will give you a little heat, so if you want a little more, you can. Just make sure that you know it reduces and it will build in flavor as the day goes on. You can always add, but you can't go backwards.
That's true.
So get this nice and mixed up.
Okay.
We'll top it off with a little bit of salt and pepper.
Very good.
And then just that in there.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, one more good stir.
Yeah.
This is one of the quicker crock pot recipes. It only needs about 5.5 hours.
Okay.
So like you said, if you want to do it at lunch or if you're going to serve it earlier, or you can come home later.
Sure.
Lid on. Obviously, you
can't. And on high, or what are you going to put on?
This one is on high for 5 hours.
Okay.
So if you're going to do it longer than that, make sure you adjust your time. If you do it on the stove, you're going for probably about 2 hours fork tender. Okay. So let this run all day.
What's this for?
This is salsa. So this is also that point where you can add your flavor or extra kick or whatever that you want. This is a cup of salsa, favorite salsa at home, mild, medium, hot, right before you're ready to serve. So when you get home at night, you've gotten ready for the dinner table, just take your lid off, add this in there, give it one quick last stir to make sure that this gets all the way hot.
And you're ready to roll.
And you're ready to go.
Look at that great looking beef chili.
Yeah, and you can add whatever toppings, sour cream, cheese, there's a little parsley on there.
Some Fritos.
Yep. You want tortillas, whatever you like.
That looks great. And what an easy way to fix a great comfort food.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for coming to the show. For complete recipe details on this chili or any of our other recipes, go to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. The Chekhov-funded Beef Innovations Group is a team of industry experts that work together to find new ways to increase beef demand. The group works to provide new and innovative products to consumers and retailers alike. And they also do a lot of research on creating new cuts of beef. Here in the studio to talk about the Beef Innovations Group and some of the work they're doing on new cuts is Bridget Wasser, Senior Director of Meat Science and Technology for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Thanks so much for coming back to the show, Bridget.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's begin by talking about the Beef Innovations Group itself. Tell us, what is the purpose of your group?
Well, the Beef Innovations Group is a mixture of Chekhov staff as well as industry expert advisors, and we really come together and work to catalyze beef product innovations in the industry. And it's a fun group because we're charged with thinking several years down the road and what's next for beef to make sure that we're relevant and always delivering on evolving consumer demands.
Well, the Chekhov has made some great progress in bringing some exciting new cuts to the industry that consumers seem to love. Tell us a little bit about how that work has actually happened.
Well, it really has its foundation in Chekhov-funded research, something called muscle profiling.
Okay.
And that's where we evaluated all the different muscles in the carcass, really with the goal of identifying our most underutilized muscles and maybe what some of the best ones of those are and how we might better utilize them. You know, I think we know a lot about the traditional cuts and muscles in the carcass from the rib and the loin and the sirloin, things that are our most popular cuts over time. But we've been able to take a closer look at some of our underutilized muscles in areas like the chuck and try to add some value to those while also delivering a really good eating experience, that steak quality eating experience that we know our consumers are looking for. We've also continued that Chekhov research. We've done things like map the tenderness of all the muscles in the chuck so we know the best way to cut those muscles. We've worked on optimum aging times for muscles because we know how important aging and cutting across the grain are in terms of beef tenderness, and so that work continues. The work has identified some diamonds in the rough, so some muscles that we really aren't taking full advantage of, but that can really deliver from an eating experience standpoint if we'll do a little bit of additional or innovative fabrication to get to those.
And you've brought some of those diamonds in the rough for us to see today, some of which may not be common to a lot of our viewers, but certainly some that I recognize. Tell us what you have here.
Well, I have a variety of different cuts, and they all come from the beef chuck. We're going to start by talking about some cuts from the shoulder clod, which is one portion of the beef chuck, and the chuck being one of the most underutilized and undervalued portions of the carcass before this work began.
I mean, we used to just, again, either chuck roast or grind as hamburger, right?
Yeah, for the most part. So that's why this work is adding some value and getting some traction. But this cut we have here is the beef flat iron, and that's one that your viewers might be somewhat familiar with. It's from an extremely tender muscle in the chuck, but the one thing about it is there's quite a bit of natural heavy connective tissue that's present on the muscle that we cut the flat iron from. And so what makes it a flat iron steak and not a traditional top blade steak, which is cut from that same muscle, is the fabrication method. And it's taking the extra step of removing that heavy connective tissue, both what's on the outside that we can see and some that's hidden on the inside that we can't see. So by going that extra step, we can take advantage of the tenderness that muscle has.
But create a great eating experience.
A great eating experience, great muscle for the grill.
Tenderness.
Very tender, very flavorful. And when you see this square, rectangular shaped steak on the flat iron, that's how you know it's cut correctly.
Gotcha.
It's a little bit of a unique steak shape for our steaks, but it's because of the removal of that connective tissue. And if any of your viewers haven't seen it or had it, I just say keep your eye open, because we are seeing it widely available now at most restaurants and grocery store chains across the country. And if they haven't seen it, they will soon.
Absolutely. What else do we have?
Well, we have some newer cuts, even newer than the flat iron, that we've been working on from the chuck roll. So we've leveraged the learnings from the flat iron work and applied those learnings to new ways to cut the chuck roll, which is also in the chuck adjacent to the shoulder clod. And so I have 3 cuts here. These are what we call our boneless country-style ribs. This is a chuck eye or Delmonico steak. And this is a chuck eye roast or America's beef roast.
Very good.
And I want to focus mainly on the country style ribs because they're a really unique item. They're cut from the chuck eye roll, and they do need to be braised. And braising is cooking in shallow liquid to improve tenderness. And when you do that with these ribs, they really start to fall apart. They have a really rich flavor, great texture, and it's a unique eating experience. It gives us another option for beef ribs, so it extends our rib category for beef. And the uniqueness of these ribs is what's helping generate some interest in them out there in the industry.
That's great. Well, these are great, and I guess the only question becomes, so once you develop these wonderful products, then what is the Beef Checkoff doing to actually communicate and get the word out, both to consumers and retailers and restaurateurs alike, about how to use these cuts?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's actually what we spend the majority of our time on. Is we do that in several different ways. We have face-to-face meetings with key industry players to help educate them on how to cut these cuts and generate interest in them. We work with their state beef councils on partnerships and activities. And we also have a good interactive website, a checkoff-funded website that we've worked on that has great, easy-to-follow cutting videos. It has recipe ideas and the tenderness information, everything you would need. So it's a big education effort, but we're committed to seeing it through.
Well, thank you so much for all you do to add value to our industry. This is outstanding work, Bridget.
Thanks.
For more information on the Beef Innovations Group and the projects they're working on, just log on to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be right back.
Hay season may be over, but the savings aren't. Announcing the John Deere Green Fever Sales Event. Save big with bonus cash or special financing on our high-quality lineup of mower conditioners, balers, and select hay tools. Plus, get great deals on versatile 5 Series or rugged 6 Series utility tractors. Catch the fever with these amazing offers on John Deere hay tools and tractors during our Green Fever Sales Event. Come in and save today.
No storm is too powerful for new Purina Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, formulated with ultimate weather resistance. That means more minerals in the feeder and available to your cattle. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals provide more consistent intake and balanced mineral nutrition to optimize herd health and breedback rates. See the difference at your local Purina dealer or visit cattlenutrition.com. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, another way Purina is building better cattle.
When predicting the genetic merit of young Angus cattle, some genomic tests only give you part of the story. For the most complete and dependable evaluation of genetic potential, with more markers and coverage for economically important traits, there's only one genomic test that won't leave Angus breeders in the dark.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for NCBA members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. From Capitol Hill to the far side of cattle country, the National Cattleman provides information NCBA members need. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
Sometimes you feel like a block, and sometimes you don't. That's why Sweet Licks gives you a choice. In the bag, in the block, or in the tub, And Sweet Licks offers a complete line of vitamin, mineral, protein, and medicated nutritional supplements in the form you want to satisfy even the most discriminating domestic livestock, even the gourmet goat or the finicky fowl or the connoisseur cow. For information, 187 Sweet Licks. Profitability never tasted so sweet.
We know who made that hitch. We know who cut the steel, who milled the ball, and who welded the seams. We know who tested, measured, and checked. We even know who thought the whole thing up. We're B&W, and we know your hitch. Because we don't make them halfway around the world. We make them all right here. B&W. Trusted.
Theriogenologist. I was one and didn't even know it. A specialist in animal reproduction, an ovary observer, a diddler of the zygote, one who has devoted his life to preserving pregnancy, a cow plumber. Included in this broad field are embryo transplanters, infertility detectives, artificial inseminators, and others identified by their green fingernails and white socks. Those folks who practice this profession are an unusual group. They don't wear a tie to work. They approach their business like professional football players, knowing when the game is over, they're going to look a whole lot worse. But there are dangers, although most injuries are more damaging to one's self-esteem. Like Gary, a struggling newlywed who was doing artificial insemination to enhance his meager graduate student income. He arrived at the farm with only one plastic sleeve. It lasted for 5 cows. Gritting his teeth, he approached cow number 6 and palpated her bare-handed. Gruesome, perhaps, to the non-cow person, but an accepted alternative to the dedicated theriogenologist. As he began his treasure hunt in the final cow, he must have said something unprofessional because she kicked him on the inside of the thigh. He was elbow deep in the cow at the time, and she clamped down on his arm as he fell to the ground, writhing in pain. Driving home that evening, in stinking agony, he made a terrifying discovery. He had lost his untarnished, 2-month-old, 24-karat, 5-month payment plan, once-in-a-lifetime, extravagant, solid gold wedding ring inside the cow. Well, the next morning, he returned to the farm, armed with a metal detector, and was seen wandering through the field for days, going from patty to patty like a beachcomber high on propane fumes. Well, the bride was not happy. The mother-in-law was vindicated, however, since she had warned her daughter not to marry someone who makes a living that no one can pronounce. This is Baxter Black from in there.
Hello, I'm David.
I'm Howard.
We're the Bellamy Brothers. Join us for Boots on the Bay in the Sunshine State of Florida. The 2013 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show is set to be the largest convention and trade show in the business.
It's happening in Tampa, Florida from February the 6th through the 9th. It's a chance to network with ranchers from every corner of the cattle community and to learn more about the industry trends and techniques.
We're excited to bring some great country music to the Bay. The Cowboys Beach Bash will feature bands like the Beach Boys.
And the Hot Havana Nights event on the Riverwalk will feature yours truly. There's also a chance you'll run into a band of pirates at the Gasparilla Pirate Fest.
To learn more about these events and more, head to beefusa.org or log on to Facebook. I'm a grandson of the Southland and heir to the Confederacy. You ain't just a whistling Dixie.
Preventing cattle pink eye is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Vaccinate your animals with Piligard Pink Eye Tri-View to provide pink eye fighting antibodies in the tears that bathe the eye. Broad spectrum protection that cross-reacts with 103 different strains of pink eye causing bacteria. 2. Stop the flies that spread pink eye bacteria throughout the herd. Apply double barrel VP ear tags and Ultra Boss Pour-On for up to 5 months of face fly and horn fly control. 3. Manage the environment to reduce damage to the animal's eye from seed heads, pollen, and UV light, irritants that increase the risk of pink eye infection. With the right tools, preventing pink eye is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Ever wonder where the beef checkoff dollar goes and what it buys? The Federation of State Beef Councils is made up of the 45 qualified state beef councils that collect the $1 per head beef checkoff. Each council keeps control of 50 cents and sends 50 cents to the Cattlemen's Beef Board for use in national beef checkoff programs. Many states also choose to send a portion of their share to the Federation to expand national and international efforts. As a division of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the Federation of State Beef Councils works to support an effective state and national partnership, helping to increase beef demand through research, promotion, and education. Because producers themselves direct these programs, your beef checkoff dollars are in good hands. Learn more about the Federation of State Beef Councils by visiting beefusa.org.
Now let's take a look at the pictures you sent in for this week's Legacy Photos. We sure love seeing those farm and ranch photos. To submit yours, just visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Well, that does it for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We'll see you right back here next week on RFD TV.